Hello, folks. I'm Brian, and this is some advice. Am I a jerk for being upset with my fiancé after he requested pics? I proceeded with sending him nudes, and he gets upset? This is from One Good Bumblebee. Yesterday, my fiancé texted me while he was at work asking for a pic. I was just getting into the shower and I thought it was a great opportunity to send him a little something extra. I took a few pics in the shower, nude obviously, and sent them to him. His first reply was, "Oh my god, nice," and then he sends me, "But that's not what I was meaning." The extra comment kind of upset me. He didn't specify what type of pic he wanted. I made the choice to send him nudes and that's what he got, and they were nice, very nice. I had to ask him why he had to throw the extra comment in about not being what he meant, because I couldn't understand why he needed to say that. That if he wanted something specific, that he needed to tell me or provide me with some kind of disclaimer like, "Send me a pic, but your face, no nudes please," or something like that. He thought that was ridiculous and that I was completely blowing things out of proportion. I just wanted him to know that the extra comment wasn't appreciated, and that it made me feel a bit ashamed for sending him what I did. He then proceeds to defend himself saying, I was taking it the wrong way, and that I was being a huge jerk about the whole thing. I told him that I felt that he was the jerk, not me. I finally told him that I took his text in the wrong way and apologized, but I'm still bothered by it. I will add that he's a business owner and works alone, so NSFW doesn't apply to our text while he's working. Am I the jerk here? I'm at a loss. Well, OP, I'm gonna say that you're both a little bit in the wrong here, but not by much. Maybe you both are 1 out of 5 on the jerky scale. At best, this was a misunderstanding between you and him. I think that you both had some expectations, and you both didn't have your expectations met. He wanted a nice picture of you for reference. He wanted a nice, face picture or something like that that he could look at throughout the day. And you were feeling playful and wanted to send him nudes. There's nothing wrong with either of those things. And you were expecting something like, "You're so sexy," but you were disappointed, I think, when you didn't get that. And when he said, "OMG, nice," I think you took it as kind of a flat comment, especially in light that he was like, "Well, that's not what I meant." While reading texts, it's easy to lose emotion. The words don't always do a good job at conveying your actual intent, and that's why texts can be a little bit dangerous. So, in the end, I don't think either of you were really overreacting. I don't think either of you were being super sensitive, but it's good that you two sat down and communicated with each other. So in the future, I would keep that in mind. So good luck, and I hope you two are in better terms now. Our next letter is, am I a jerk for buying a bumper sticker displaying my deadlift max? And this is from Uther Dole 1500. It would probably be more accurate to ask, am I a D-bag? I recently hit a personal record and I wanted it for a while. Nice, round 600. As luck would have it, a booth at the meet was selling these things. Just a picture of a dude deadlifting with the number 600 underneath it. Got home, showed it to the brother-in-law. His response was, "I'm sorry dude, that is like the height of douchebaggery." I pointed out he had both a 13.1 and 26.2 stickers on his car. Totally different, don't advertise my times, which I guess is kind of fair. Honestly, I have since elected not to put it on my car, but I'm curious if it's really that different than a marathon sticker. Edit. And I guess the side question is, why does it seem more socially acceptable to participate in running or cycling, even competitively, as an adult than something like lifting? Well, OP, I'm gonna say that you're both jerks. 1 out of 5. His 13.1 and 26.2 stickers are really no different than your 600. It's good to be excited about your goals and accomplishments, but really what these stickers are bragging. They just provide you with some kind of bragging rights. And some people might think that bragging is being a D-bag. I guess it really depends on your intent and what you're trying to do. If it's something that you're showing off, constantly bringing up in conversation, then it's going to come across as, you being kind of a blowhard. And the same thing with your brother-in-law. If he's always talking about how elite he is with his marathon runnings and his half marathon runnings, then he's just going to come across as a braggart. So again, seems like a giant measuring contest, and I don't really think there's anything different between your stickers or his stickers. Anyhow, good luck and have a good one. Our next letter is called, Am I the Jerk for Wanting to be Called Kramer? And this is from Adjusty0212. I have recently decided to change my name from Justin to Kramer. It has been hard for my friends to get used to, but it means a lot to me. Anytime I tell them my name is Kramer, they roll their eyes and just keep calling me Justin. They have threatened to kick me out of a group if I keep correcting them. So Reddit, am I a jerk? Well, OP, I'm going to say that you're not really a jerk here, and the thing is that you are entitled to be called what you want to be called, and I think your friends are kind of acting like jerks here. And the thing is that it's probably going to take some time for them to get used to calling you Kramer, but it might be hard for them to even get used to the idea of calling you a different name. I know some people who've changed their names many times over their life unofficially. The thing is that people call them by their previous names when how they were introduced. So the thing about life is that people don't like change, and when something changes, it makes people very uncomfortable. And I think that's what's going on here. Your friends don't like the idea of your name changing. They don't like the idea of things changing in general. Humans have a problem with change, and sometimes people accept change and sometimes they don't. And it's really up to the individuals. The thing is, the harder you fight to change this, probably the harder they're going to push back. And that's the unfortunate reality of the situation. I don't really feel like you're being a jerk here, but I also think that it's not an easy thing for people to face something so drastic, especially in like a name change. And they probably don't understand why you're changing your name. They probably don't understand what the significance behind your name change is, or maybe they do and they think that your reasoning is just completely nonsense. That's not for them to decide, and that's of course something for you to decide, but you're going to have to think about this and kind of understand why you want to be called Kramer and why it's so important to you, and articulate that to your friends. It really sounds like a lack of understanding on their part, and if you were able to explain it in a way that is acceptable to them, then they'll probably be reasonable and at least try to call you by your new name. Anyhow, good luck with that, and I hope that you're able to talk to your friends and work something out. Am I a jerk for not inviting my adult niece and her children for Easter this year? And this is from Uncle Rupert 2. Last year was an unmitigated disaster, and they behaved so appallingly that I don't care to repeat it. A couple of weeks before the holiday last year, I gave my niece an Easter bonnet for her younger daughter, age 5, to wear to church. Please note that I only go to church on Christmas and Easter, and I'm not a fanatic. She laughed at the time, but I figured she would get her child all dressed up for church in a nice dress and put the bonnet on her. Imagine my horror when they arrived and my niece was in a pair of slacks and her daughter in shorts. No bonnet anywhere to be seen. I pulled my niece aside discreetly to explain that they were both dressed totally inappropriately, and inquired as to the whereabouts of the lovely Easter bonnet. She looked at me as if I had two heads, laughed in my face, and told me she assumed the bonnet was a joke and had thrown it out. She threw it out! I was quite upset, but made it through the service despite my anger and embarrassment. Easter dinner afterward was so awkward, with her rudely asking what kind of meat I served her. I explained that lamb was the traditional Easter meat, and she proceeded to complain that it was gamey and that her daughter wouldn't eat it. They excused themselves and went to McDonald's. There is a long history of my niece behaving rudely and totally eschewing the etiquette and all manner of decency. Her mother, my sister, is completely to blame for this. I have no interest in inviting them over this year. Would that be terrible of me not to? Well, OP, I'm gonna say that you're both jerks here. She's probably a 3 out of 5, and you're probably a 2 out of 5. Maybe you're both 2 out of 5. I think Imagine My Horror as You Clutched Your Pearls is best representative of this letter here. The thing is, you can't force someone to dress a certain way. And when she laughed, you probably should have took that as a hint that the bonnet wasn't going to happen. I think it's just that your niece doesn't value the holiday in the same way that you do, and that she just doesn't see the point in doing the traditional things. I think what it's going to boil down to is you have to make a decision here. Is it more important for you to spend time with your family, or is it more important for you to have a traditional Easter? You're not going to be able to force your family to act a certain way. That's just the reality of the situation here. And it was rude of her to comment on the food, and that's where she gets the bulk of her jerkiness from. But if her daughter refused to eat, then she may have felt it necessary to find an alternative meal. While she was being rude, at least she was being honest about how she felt about the food. Food preparation is a really sensitive thing, and if you make a meal for someone and you think that they like the meal, then you're going to continue to serve them that same meal, and they're going to have to eat a meal that they dislike over and over and over again. Again, I think she probably could have phrased it better, but I do think that she needs to exhibit a little bit more etiquette in the way she handles these situations, such as explaining to how she doesn't care for a certain meal. To summarize, I think you need to sit down and decide, is it more important for you to have a traditional Easter, or is it more important for you to spend time with your family? It's something that you're going to have to think about and decide on your own. Anyhow, good luck. Our next letter is, am I a jerk for lying about my kind of freaky income stream because I'm embarrassed even though I want to help my partner? And this is from Instagram Liar. Me, a 22-year-old female, and my boyfriend, a 23-year-old male, met at college and now rent a crappy flat together. I work, but he's still in education, post-grad, and struggles financially. Until recently, I was really struggling too. About a year ago, I watched a YouTuber called Nerd City make a video on how he and his partner managed to make her a fake Instagram account where they're basically photoshopping her butt and gained like 60,000 followers in 3 months. I was inspired. I decided, why can't I do that? I'm a recent grad with loads of debt, I'm not super ugly, and the internet is already fake. So why not try to get enough followers to start earning money? I'm really into kawaii e-girl fashion and makeup, and so last spring I bought a wig, which I hide, and cute new clothes and started posting photos. Okay, so here's where it gets weird. Instead of a fake butt, I decided to sell a fake life story. In the captions of the photos and on my story, I started to develop a fake life with increasingly dramatic story slowly unfolding over the weeks. Think Caroline Calloway. It almost felt like an art form for a while. It was really calculated, and honestly I thought I was above it all, doing it almost all ironically for that money and the goal I had in mind. Well, it came true. People love that stuff on Instagram, and now I have well over 100,000 followers. Recently, I've been starting to get some decent money coming in from brand deals, but I think my Instagram act has gone too far. I get people DMing me regularly about fake disasters in my fake relationships. I even tell stories about the fake guy I'm falling for, and I'm starting to worry that I'm really kind of crazy or have something wrong with me. This makes me feel like I can't tell my boyfriend. Nobody in my real life knows it, and I'm getting to the point where I freak out whenever I see someone in real life on Instagram on the off chance that they could stumble on my account and somehow recognize me. I would quit, to be honest, but I really want the money, and I intend to use it to better my life and my boyfriend's life. So 2 nights ago, my boyfriend straight up addressed me and asked me if anything was going on and if there was anything to be concerned about because he's noticed my spending habits have changed lately, including a few gifts for him too. I majorly freaked out, and so when I lied, I said my parents have been helping me out financially a bit. I don't think he was even remotely convinced and pushed me further, but I just doubled down on it. I know what I'm doing is freaky and weird, and that's exactly why I can't tell him, but I can see from his perspective how it would look like something even worse. But I'm terrified what his reaction will be if he does find out. I really do want to use this gift the internet has given me to improve our lives, and that's the only reason why I'm still carrying on this charade. But he's not really spoken to me since. Am I a jerk? Alright, OP, this is a little bit of a complicated situation. I'm going to say that you're a little bit of a jerk here because you're hiding this from your partner. You should talk to him and you should explain to him what's going on. He's probably going to be far more understanding about this than you realize, because even while this is weird and dramatic, it's not real, and he's going to understand that this is a work of fiction. And you need to tell him sooner than later, because this lie is bound to catch up with you, especially if he confronts your parents about helping you financially. They're going to be completely caught off guard by this, and they're not going to know what's going on. He probably thinks now that you're selling drugs or something like that. He's probably going to be relieved when you tell him you're not selling drugs, but instead are leading a secret double life. As for your act, this is a personal decision. You have to decide whether this is unethical or not. This is not an easy ethical question to answer. Everything on the internet is fake, and what you're doing isn't really any worse than what a lot of people already do on the internet. That isn't to say that it's right, but I think it's a very morally gray area. I would be more comfortable with this if you were explicitly saying this was a work of fiction, but people like drama, people like soap operas, and what you're providing them with is a soap opera. Personally, I kind of view this as though you're creating a book or a novel with characters, and those characters are acting out things, and you're keeping people entertained. And that's really what you're doing here. You're providing a source of entertainment for people. I would be careful not to take it too far, and I would be careful to not do anything that would encourage people to do things that are illegal or wrong or bad. As long as this is a harmless work of fiction, I can't see it doing too much in the way of harm. My one last tidbit of advice is make sure to put some of that money away. Fame doesn't last forever, and eventually your Instagram followers are going to dry up, they're going to move on, they're going to go somewhere else. So be prepared for when that happens. Good luck, and make sure to talk to your partner about this. Our next letter is called, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Daughter to Read Her Chemistry Book Instead of Asking Me a Question? And this is from Zertul Fudge 5. My daughter is taking Organic Chemistry 2 at UC Berkeley to be pre-med, and I'm a PhD level physical chemist. Organic chemistry isn't really my forte, but I know the basic concepts, like the stuff they are learning right now. She recently took a quiz where she was tasked with finding out, essentially, whether BR negative or NH negative would be better at leaving a group in acyl substitution reaction, i.e. which reaction would be more favorable. And after the quiz, she messaged me and asked whether she had chosen the right answer. There's more context to this, but the science itself isn't that important in my opinion. Her logic was that BR was the better leaving group because it was larger and could handle the negative charges that leaving groups take when they, leave. The original molecule, with the more stability smaller than NH ion, which I neither confirmed nor denied. I knew the answer as a PhD level physical chemist, but I didn't reply because I told her over the phone just to read her old textbook from Organic Chemistry 1 instead of asking me. I feel like it would have been more instrumental to her learning if she had tried to struggle and figure things out first for herself instead of me spoon-feeding her the answers. She got angry afterwards and refused to speak to me. I replied that if she got it wrong, it was too late to change anything anyway, and that if she was confident that BR was the better leaving group, then why was she asking me in the first place? Either way, she'll find out in a few days how she did. Was I a jerk for telling her that? After the phone call, my daughter's aunt, my sister, said that maybe she was asking just to bond with me. My daughter and I are really different. I like chemistry and physics and math, and she likes economics, marketing, anatomy, physiology, Spanish, data science, and a bunch of other things I'm really not interested in. I never wanted to be a doctor or work in marketing or consulting. I don't see the appeal of any of those careers. I've even snapped at my daughter and said that we're too different personality-wise a few times. Once I asked her if she was interested in stuff having to do with the moon, tides, and some other physical concepts, and she didn't seem to care at all, whereas I've done a ton of research on that for my job as a senior research scientist. But if she was trying to bond with me, it's ludicrous that she would try to do it over a simple organic chemistry question. Alright, OP, here's my opinion. You sound really insecure. This post is more about you and how smart you are and less about your daughter. You are a jerk here, and I'm gonna give you 3 out of 5. I'm tempted to give you more. Yes, she could have looked up the answer, and she could have gone to the textbook and figured that out. She knows that. She wanted to turn to you for guidance. She explained her reasoning to you, and she clearly had given it some thought and struggled with it, especially given that it was in a quiz, and you seem to completely refuse to acknowledge that. In the past, when students come to me and ask me a question on a quiz, I'll tell them whether their reasoning is right or wrong. I'll tell them if they're correct or incorrect. That kind of reinforcement goes a long way. I really just think that you were afraid of being wrong here. You didn't want to acknowledge it and say to your daughter that you weren't sure of the answer. I think that would have been easier for her to accept here if you had just been honest and said, I will have to give that some thought. I'm not really sure off the top of my head. The final thing I want to kind of point out is that you're assuming that your daughter didn't want to bond with you. But it seems like chemistry is the only thing you two seem to have in common. You said all the different things that you don't have in common with your daughter, but it seems like this chemistry thing is something that you do have in common with her. It's really important for you to foster those common areas between you and your daughter, and she was reaching out to you. I really think that this post is extremely sad. I think you're pushing your daughter away, and I think that you seem like a very insecure, arrogant individual, and I think you need to look at yourself in the mirror and rework yourself. This is just absolutely absurd. Anyhow, good luck with this. Good luck with your daughter. I hope that you can find some kind of common ground to talk to your daughter on, but I'm not sure that you'll even acknowledge it if you do find it. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. If you thought I did an alright job here, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you thought I did a poor job, consider giving me a thumbs down. And if you have a letter that you want me to look at, leave it in the comments below or send me a link, and I'll be sure to do that. Anyhow, I hope you have a great day, and take care.